I, 22F, have been dating my boyfriend, 25M, for a little over 5 months, but we've known each other for more than a year. My boyfriend is an up-and-coming MMA athlete, and tomorrow is supposed to be the biggest fight of his career. For the last 2 months, I have done everything to support him. I cook him high-protein meals 3 times a day, do his grocery shopping, and even buy him clothes because he refuses to spend money on himself. While he fully supports himself financially, I get an allowance from my parents and don't mind using it to help him out. I've been his personal chef, cheerleader, therapist, and basically a shadow to his needs. This past week has been brutal. He's been on edge, training early mornings, working, then training again at night. We haven't been able to see each other much, just quick check-ins and our nightly phone calls. But 2 days ago, he didn't text me all day. Finally, past 11 p.m., he sends me a short message. "I just got to New York. Wait, what?" I had no idea he was leaving early. I thought I would be there to see him off. I asked why he didn't tell me and where he was staying. That's when he dropped another bomb. "I'm staying at a friend's place." I responded with a simple, "Oh, what?" because I had no idea he even had a friend there. But instead of answering, he immediately shut me down. Okay, stop. This is something he says when he feels like I'm nagging, and normally I respect it. But something about this whole situation felt off. I told him he couldn't just drop information like that and expect me not to be confused. Then he got mad, told me he'd talk to me tomorrow. Said I was stressing him out before his big fight. Fine, I let it go. But today everything changed. I was at the gym when he called. I was so happy to hear from him, I figured he was calming down and wanted to connect. I told him we could talk when I got home, but he said no, it's fine now. So I stayed on the call. That's when he dropped the first gut punch. I missed weight. I was instantly worried. He sounded disappointed, defeated. But then his tone changed, and suddenly I was the problem. "You were being selfish last night. I told you I needed space, and you just kept pushing. You keep saying you're supportive, but your actions don't match your words. How can I trust you in bad times if you can't even do this for me?" I started crying. I told him I was trying to support him. I have been this whole time. But instead of acknowledging it, he just kept going. He brought up every tiny time I had asked too many questions, called him at the wrong time, or even tried to check in on him. By the time we hung up, I felt empty. But then something clicked in my brain. Why did he go to another city so late at night without telling me? Who is this friend? And why is he so defensive about it? Something felt off, and I couldn't ignore it. I tried to push the thoughts away. I really did. I wanted to believe this was just a rough patch, that my emotions were getting the best of me. But the little nagging voice in my head wouldn't shut up. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I logged into his Instagram. Before anyone comes from eyes, I know it's wrong. But my gut was screaming, and I was right. The second I opened his DMs, I saw her, a girl I didn't recognize, sending heart emojis. I scrolled up. My hands were shaking. I saw the messages from earlier in the week. "Can't wait to see you again. Wish I could have been in your corner for this fight." And the worst one. "Last time was amazing. Can't stop thinking about it. I felt like I was going to throw up." I didn't even need to go further. My boyfriend, this man I thought I loved, was staying with her. While I was cooking for him, buying him clothes, supporting his dream, he was sneaking off to another city to see her. I didn't tell him right away. I needed time to think. I needed proof so he couldn't lie his way out of it. So I waited. That night, he texted me again. "We can talk about us after the fight." Like he was the one calling the shots. Like I was some inconvenience. So I replied, "Don't bother. I already know." Immediately, he called me. I didn't answer. I let him panic, let him stew in his own guilt. Then he texted over and over. "What are you talking about? Babe, please answer. You don't understand. Let me explain." I sent him one screenshot. Just one. Then I blocked him. His coach texted me the next morning, said my boyfriend was distraught, that he was begging to talk to me. He even missed part of his training session because he was so out of it. Good. For the first time in months, I felt free. I didn't spend my day worrying about his meals, his training, his emotions. I focused on me. And honestly, I don't regret a thing. I, 26F, have been with my boyfriend, 28M, for about a year and a half. When we first got together, things were electric. He was sweet, attentive, and always made me feel like the most beautiful woman in the world. But over the past few months, something has shifted and I don't know how to handle it. From the very beginning of our intimacy, I preferred keeping my bra on during sex. I never made a big deal about it, I just felt more comfortable that way. It wasn't about hiding anything. It was about feeling confident in the moment. My breasts naturally sit farther apart than I'd like, and lying down only emphasizes it. Wearing a bra helped me feel sexy, secure, and fully engaged in the moment. At first, he never questioned it. He didn't try to take it off, didn't make comments, he just went with it. But lately, he's been bringing it up more and more. At first playfully, but now in ways that make me feel uncomfortable. It started subtly. A casual, "Why don't you just take it off?" Or a joking, "Come on, let me see everything." I'd always laugh it off or say something like, "I just feel better this way." But then his persistence grew stronger. He'd try to unhook it mid-intimacy, despite me telling him not to. Once, I physically pulled his hand away and he got annoyed, muttering, "It's not that big of a deal." That night, I couldn't shake the uneasy feeling. If he respected me, why was he pushing this? Was it really just about wanting to see my body, or was there something else? Then, a few weeks ago, things took a turn. We were at a party with his friends, and I caught him having a hushed conversation with his best friend, Ryan. I only overheard a few words. "Yeah, dude, still hasn't taken it off," followed by laughter. My stomach dropped. My personal preference was now a joke among his friends. I confronted him later that night. I asked him if he had talked to his friends about it, and at first he denied it. When I pressed him, his face darkened, and he scoffed, "Why do you care so much? You act like it's some huge secret. What's the big deal?" I felt humiliated. I told him it was my body, my choice, and it hurt that he had made a joke out of something so personal. He rolled his eyes and muttered, "Maybe if you weren't so insecure, this wouldn't even be an issue." That's when the floodgates opened. All my pent-up frustration and hurt came spilling out. I told him how disrespected I felt, how his persistence made me feel like my boundaries didn't matter. But instead of understanding, he got defensive. "Do you even trust me?" He snapped. "Because honestly, it doesn't feel like it. I can't even enjoy intimacy with my own girlfriend without her treating me like some kind of pervert." I was stunned. He was flipping it on me, making me the bad guy. We didn't talk much after that, and things remained tense for days. Then, last night, I got a message from an unknown number. It was a screenshot of a group chat, my boyfriend and his friends. The messages made my blood run cold. "Ryan, bro, she's still keeping it on? Laugh my ass off. Maybe she's hiding something. BF. Idic man. At this point, I'm thinking she's got a third nipple or some shit." Another friend. "Either that or Sag City. BF. TBH. I've been thinking about testing out other options. If she won't give me what I want, someone else will." I stared at my phone, shaking. My boyfriend, the man who once made me feel adored, had reduced me to a joke among his friends. And worse, he was considering cheating because I wouldn't give in to his demands. I felt sick, betrayed. Every moment we had shared, every time he had called me beautiful, every "I love you," was it all fake? I didn't reply to the text. Instead, I waited until he came over that night, acting like everything was fine. I let him think I didn't know. Then, when he settled onto the couch, I pulled out my phone, opened the messages, and handed it to him. I watched as his face drained of color. "Who sent you this?" he stammered. I didn't answer. I just stood up, pointed to the door, and said, "Get out." He tried to argue, but I was done. Done explaining. Done justifying. Done with a man who saw my comfort as an obstacle to his desires. As he left, he muttered something about me overreacting. But I knew better. And for the first time in months, I felt free. So Reddit, did I overreact or did I just dodge a massive bullet? I, 24F, thought I had finally met someone worth my time. I had been single for almost 2 years, healing from a toxic relationship, and cautiously dipping my toes back into the dating pool. That's when I matched with Adam, 25M. He was funny, engaging, and made me feel like I was the only person in the world when we talked. For 10 days, we texted nonstop morning, afternoon, night. No dry conversations, no one-word replies. He asked thoughtful questions, teased me playfully, and dropped just the right amount of flirty hints. Our humor clicked instantly. Roasting each other became our thing, and it felt effortless. Then we met for our first date. Instant chemistry. We spent 5 hours together, moving from a coffee shop to a walk by the river, and finally ending the night with a kiss that sent my heart racing. He texted me before I even got home. That was incredible. Can't wait to see you again. We made plans for our second date a week later. But then, the night before, something shifted. Around 8 p.m., his text suddenly stopped. No goodnight message. No meme drop at 1 a.m. like usual. Just silence. The next morning, I finally got a text, but it wasn't what I expected. Hey, not feeling great. Might have to cancel tonight. The wording alone was enough to give me whiplash. It wasn't just that he was sick, it was how cold and distant he sounded. This was the same guy who 2 nights ago had been telling me he felt a rare kind of connection with me. So I responded, I get that you're not feeling well, but disappearing last night and barely communicating today doesn't sit right with me. I need clarity, and this feels really off. His reply? Sorry for everything. I understand what you're saying. No real explanation. No reassurance. Just that. I sat there staring at my phone, feeling like the rug had been pulled out from under me. Was I overreacting? Was I too much? Did I just push him away? But something didn't feel right. Hat night? I did something I normally wouldn't do. I checked his Instagram stories from my friend's burner account. And guess what? He wasn't homesick. He was out with friends at a bar, laughing, drinking. My stomach dropped. My fingers started shaking. So I texted him, hope you're feeling better. Saw you were well enough to go out tonight. No response. The next morning, I can explain. Oh, really? I called him. He actually answered. And that's when the gaslighting began. He fed me some BS about how his friends forced him out to cheer him up, how he didn't want me to worry because he was in a bad headspace, how I was jumping to conclusions. I was fuming. Jumping to conclusions? I told him I wasn't interested in whatever this game was, that I deserved better than someone who couldn't even be honest about his plans.